So that is a real truth that Ayush, who's also on this call with us, you two are the only reasons why I was able to pass college. नहीं तो मेरे से होता नहीं. I would have, I would have been.
I would say Heena was a better upgrade.
I think you will miss your degree once the current VC of DTU takes it back from you. Now that you have
Yeah.
admitted it like, on the record.
I hope I just hope he doesn't see that. He or she
Yeah.
doesn't. Hi guys, welcome back to the Synapse Pod. I am your host Chirag, back with the gang, but with a new look. So that is what I'm sporting today. But we have a very special guest with us today, Heena Gupta, who is also working as a senior developer at Expedia, and she has been uh, deeply integrated into the travel industry for 3 years now. So the short story is Hina and I go way back to our college days and making me graduate college.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the intro, Chirag. So yeah, I think that was very interesting because I remember like during college days, we used to sit together during the exams and we actually never interacted, but we noticed, yeah, he knew that he's opening his chats and I'm just focusing on my exams, and then um, that was an interesting one because, like after graduation, we miss all this.
Yes, I know. So that is a real truth that Ayush, who's also on this call with us, you two are the only reasons why I was able to pass college. नहीं तो मेरे से होता नहीं. I would have, I would have been.
I would say Heena was a better upgrade.
I think you will miss your degree once the current VC of DTU takes it back from you. Now that you have
Yeah.
admitted it like, on the record.
I hope I just hope he doesn't see that. He or she
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah, but Tina, welcome to the pod. We are all excited to know more about your journey. How has it been from those early 2015 college days where you graduated from DTU and the development step by step? And like it's so amazing because you yourself are a software developer, and I'm a big supporter of girls who code. So I think you've also had some experience into that. So would love to know, yeah, how has your journey evolved in terms of being a coder and rising up the ranks, and then finally from Zomato to Expedia. How's it been?
Yeah, well, I must say that it was not easy. As a female, there are always some challenges. Even if we are staying in a metropolitan cities, it's not like things are served on a plate. Um, like People usually assume that girls are going to be teachers, or they are going to come early from office, and it's the boys that going to work for longer hours. And so but thankfully, I was able to research a bit, and during college time also I was able to code. uh, I was able to explore some open source projects, and then I started looking into those. And then I found a open source community, that is KDE, which stands for K Desktop Environment. So there I contributed a bit. So I remembered that at that time I did not have a Mac. My brother used to have a laptop because he was working somewhere, and he gave his laptop to me because I told him I wanted to look into some projects and I would be needing this. So we started exploring the open source communities then. So gradually, then back in college days, I also submitted some open source proposals on KDE community, and got into some programs like Season of KDE. Then there was Google Summer of Code also. So that was very interesting because I got to know about a lot of devs from this community, like what all practices they do as a coder, and even as a engineering manager, how they are doing things around the globe. um, Even like when the Google Summer of Code got over, after that also I was in touch with this community, and it was very interesting to see how these people are building projects, not for like financial gains, but just because they are passionate about it. So that was a very good learning for me. Then I think I also did some internships. So our college did not have a 6 months internship, but yeah, I was able to do, I think, 1 month internship with Paytm. Though in 1 month I was not able to like contribute a lot, because relatively 6 months, with 6 months you are able to learn relatively more about a company and the projects. But I did my part. And then after college I joined a financial firm which was dealing with hedge funds. That's Indus Valley Partners. That was for some time. It was a service based company that was focused on on the requirements that a client need. So for example, there were a couple of dashboards that I worked with, like portfolio management, etc. um, then after that I wanted to gain some experience with smaller companies like startups. So I explored a few startups there. There was one MyHQ Workspaces that I looked into, and then I joined Shipsy. Shipsy was an interesting one. It's a supply logistics one. There I worked for some time, not much, but for some time. I then moved to Zomato. Um, Zomato is a great learning experience for me. We used to brainstorm a lot. There were a lot of projects that were happening, and we were always in a hustle mode. Like, you need to do this and that, but at the same time we were also trying to make our apps performance efficient. So I remembered having discussions with my manager, like how we are going to do there was a project catalog management. Like, we were making a menu making tool for the restaurants owner. So it was like a menu can have complex food items also, like a pizza which can have multiple toppings, and then what's going to be the crust like. Do you want to add cheese or any add-ons like cheese dip, etc.? Do you want a cheese dip also? So the entire structure of such a food item was very complex and dynamic. So we had to figure out how we are going to design the food items here, so that they remain generic in a manner that the restaurant owners are able to design their menus, but at the same time we are able to reuse the structure and the components as well. So yeah, so that was very interesting. And I remember, during lockdown, I was going to a restaurant, and I saw that that menu tool was opened up in one of the restaurant. I mean, they might be, creating their menu or updating any food item. So I was very, feeling glad to see that there. And I must say that thanks to Dipinder Goyal and my entire team for giving me that experience. Um, yeah.
That's so amazing. That feeling is always most precious, right? When you go out and you see something which you worked on yourself is being implemented at a place, and
Yeah.
in technology, that is even more special because you can do that at such a scale, which is
Right.
unprecedented.
Yeah.
Right.
And interestingly, like the code that we wrote, that was also reused in a couple of other dashboards. So I remember like other teams are, checking the code out and using that as a wrapper dashboard and designing the components in the same way. Um, and that was very like interesting, and I used to feel very happy when that used to happen. So yeah, Zomato was a very great learning experience for me, I must say. Then
So in terms
from
of
Zomato,
culture, Hina, in terms of culture, would you say like Zomato was the most agile or startup culture that you were looking for, even though now it's a very large organization?
yeah.
How would you
So
differentiate that? And especially for girls who code, because I want to
yeah,
stick on to that because as it is, there are very less female developers as compared to
yes,
male
right,
developers out there, right? So
right.
how is that treatment? How is that cultural difference there? How in terms of what did you feel?
Yeah, so at that time, I wanted some hands-on around the startup culture. Like people used to, say that we are working in a startup and all, and I just wanted to, get a feel of that. So I was able to get that, surely. Um, yeah, so even though Zomato is a big company, they still, work in a hustle mode. So it's not like they are working in a very relaxed pace manner. You can always see some managers and some teams working even at night, so that was there. Um, that's something that's there, and I mean, it's the way that they work. Every company has its culture. As a female, I must say it was challenging. It's not like it was very easy, because you have to make your place there. You just can't just join as a software engineer or as a product manager or as a engineering manager, and people are going to understand you. You have to create that impact, and then the people know you, okay, you exist. So that was there. But I mean, like as a IC, like as an individual contributor, you get to learn there. Because there were a lot of other challenges also, like the code base for Zomato, some of it is in legacy. That happens in most of the company, and some of it is in the modern technologies, like React or Golang that's used on the server side. So you have to figure out a optimal way so that the legacy system is unharmed, but at the same time you are not adding more like code in the legacy code base. You are writing the code in a cleaner way. So that was there. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And so from Zomato, working on all the menu items or tools, meals for one, etc. How did that journey evolve into suddenly a different sector, which is
Yeah,
travel?
right.
So
Yes.
what and why was that leap? That's the main question.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for asking that. In fact, like, so during lockdown, I realized, while working from home, that I do want, some rest, because before, starting on something new, I wanted to take some break and explore what I actually want. And then I realized, that I do want a hustle manner, but at the same time, I also want some structure in the way I was working. So, say if I want to, design a problem, like there is a problem statement, I want to design that. I want to do that in a structured manner. So, for example, like I want to make sure that so if there is a UX issue, I want to make sure that first we are discussing the design problems. Instead of directly hopping to the development for that, and then we move to the dev, and once that's done we are doing a thorough testing. So I just wanted to be a part of every process. It's not like we are just building and delivering. I just I just wanted that thing. And
Yeah.
I realized at the same time, I also wanted to stay close to my parents and my in-laws. So I wanted to, move to Gurgaon for that, because that's very near to Delhi, where my hometown is. So I noticed that Expedia is the one that is the ideal fit here, because like it's a product-based firm. I like traveling, and I like coding, so it matches most of the criteria that I was looking into, and it is known for the way it innovates. At least in my circle, it's very popular. So I decided to look into Expedia and be a part of it. And thankfully, even my team is very encouraging. They always are open for any idea or any collaboration, even if we are not able to pick it up, say in priority one, as the topmost priority. We always think of new ideas, like how we can make so I'm in flights team. So how we can make flights more engaging, like on what ways we can make it more performance efficient, what feature we can add to retain more users, or to get more profit financially. So that's something that's always on our mind. And at the same time, with respect to technology, how we can keep on learning and keep on evolving. I think when I joined flights, it was lockdown, and my entire interview process was virtual. So with the virtual thing, there were some pros as well as some cons. Like the pros was that I was able to do work from home, and then I was able to work at my own time. But at the same time, I was able to deliver the work that was needed at my own pace. uh, so I was able to collaborate with NA folks. So by NA, I mean some of our team sits in Seattle. So I was able to, collaborate with them also. And that was very, that was happening in a very processed manner. It was not like I was coming from office, and at the same time I was having back-to-back meetings. So that was very smoother. But at the same time, I did miss the fun activities, or interacting with the colleagues. So for example, whenever we meet in office, we usually discuss a lot of things even other than work, and it's always a fun conversation that we have. So for example, we can plan our outings, and we can also discuss a lot of problems, like open problems, product or UX related or code related, that we might have missed out if we might have interacted virtually. So that's also something that I was missing. Then gradually, Expedia got into a hybrid manner. So I got a mix of both. So it's like I go to office for some days, and some days I work from home. And I think it's very stable now, because I'm when I want to coordinate from home, I was able to do that. So there are days when I just want to work without any interaction with anyone, and I was able to do that. And at the same time, if I want to meet my colleagues and do in person discussion, I am also able to do that. um, I remember when I joined flights, at the same at that time we were planning PWA migration. So everything in flights was getting migrated to PWA. It was a very interesting phase. We had a legacy Expedia website initially, and then we moved to React. Uh, and we used to monitor all the trends, like how is the performance, how is the backend doing, um, are there any errors. Everything was under a AB experiment, and now it feels great to see that everything is PWA based now. um, Then, recently, I'm not sure if you have seen or not, but there is a price tracking and prediction component that appears on the search page on iOS and Android. So that's something also that our team built built from the scratch. Price tracking and prediction is a very interesting one. We started it, I think, back in 2021. I mean, the discussion started then. Then we were at least from the product, we got to know that it's going to have a lot of impact the way the user searches. So what happens is, when a user is going to do a search, say from Delhi to Goa, then in that case, we always, keep a check when the price is going to rise or drop. And we also, we always want to book a flight that has the lowest most price. At least that's what we plan. Like, we look for discounts and all. So this price tracking and prediction card, this will help us know what's the future going to look like, for example, say in the coming 10-15 days, if the price for this particular search is going to increase or drop. So say, you can consider it like this, like if there is a festival coming up, say Diwali is coming up, so people are going to book a lot of flights, and that means that the demand increases, so the price also increases for the flights. Or for New Year also, the Goa prices usually increases, right? So
So, Hina,
the
does this
trend
not affect your conversion rates? Does this, when you tell future prices, let's say the future price is going to be lesser, there is no chance I'm transacting that thing then. So, does that not work against the business metrics that you would want, ideally would want a customer to interact and convert today
yeah,
instead of telling them that take a better price tomorrow? So how does that align with
yeah.
business objectives then?
Yeah, that's a very good question actually. So, from the data that we got from product, it looks like it's going to have more of an increase than a decrease, like in terms
Okay.
of user retention. So, it's like, the users are going to be more engaged with the flight, then they are going to not look into the flights. So we always check, like we always send push notifications, and like we always try to engage the users more with this tool. So for example, if the user has opt-in for the price alert, so in that case, if in case the user moves from the search page or closes the app, then later on the user is going to get a push notification after some time that the price is now increased, so you can check now. So I
Got it.
mean,
Got it.
if
So, like, you have so much visibility on this consumer behavior. Like, this is very, very interesting. And I would love to ask more things on this. For example,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
since you can see everything that consumers are doing, you can predict that, oh, they want to see where the future prices will go. And, you're saying you predicted it so well that now the retention is also up. And overall, you are gaining more than you are losing, which is fantastic. Like, that's the beauty of data. Tell me, when like you joined just after COVID or during COVID, something like that, right? That was the most exciting time in travel space, right? Just probably a year ago, the world had lost its hope that no one is going to
yeah,
travel, airline is dead, hotel is dead, Airbnb is dead, everyone who's got travel in their company's description is dead. But look where we are today. So and like it's recovered beautifully and probably more than where it was pre-COVID. So what was the most interesting or the crazy consumer behaviors that you could see on the path of this recovery from zero post-COVID to today? Like, what was the more top two, three consumer behaviors which you were like, wow, what are people doing?
yeah. Well, like it depends. Like recently, for example, we noticed that so most of the consumers of Expedia are from USA. So that means that say if there is a Thanksgiving, so that means that there is going to be an increase in flights, right? Or like there is a say if we consider booking flights to Ukraine, so there might be some issue there, like the trends might look disrupt there. So it all depends on what's happening around the globe. It's like similar to the way like how is the demand for
Okay,
those
so
flights, right?
let me ask you a more developer centered question. Okay, so I was once reading about this flight pricing algorithm sorts. Apparently, it's practically a service only that everyone takes. It's not like everyone is making their own pricing algorithm, right? It's built on some standard algo. So that is why
Yeah.
I could see that every time I'm seeing tickets for, let's say, September to countries where kids travel for studies, like the prices are high even when you are checking the prices in April. So I'm saying, isn't the demand surge already accounted for in the ticket price for those months, since every company and every algorithm is sitting on historic data of like 10 years from the past? Is there real value contribution through this demand prediction or etc. that you are saying, or is that already accounted for in the price pretty much?
Sorry, I didn't get your question. Like, are
So,
you
so
like
I'm saying you are saying your model is able to predict that Thanksgiving is coming,
yeah,
so
yeah,
more people will book tickets, so price will be expensive, and you give this recommendation to people who are trying to book, correct?
yeah, yeah.
I am saying, hasn't the data already accommodated for this expected surge because they have seen data of past few years? So does this recommendation really help? Because
Yeah,
the flights
actually,
would
like
anyway be expensive.
it depends on the machine learning model. So I was actually, unfortunately, I was not a part of the machine learning model team. But as far as I got to know, like we have the data, like we have the forecasting data and the historical data. So if you see that trend that appears on flight search page, the data is usually of three types. Um, the the first type could be a trend line that only contains the
Hmm.
historical data. So like for example, if we consider say previous Thanksgiving to the current Thanksgiving, so the data can show that, like the historical data.
Yeah.
Then the current date could be say just 1 day or 2 day after Thanksgiving. So the current
Hmm.
data can consider that. And the forecasting data is something that's the interesting one that will show the trend line for the upcoming days based on the current and the previous data that we have. So does that answer your question? Like
Yeah, partly
we
it does.
we
Correct.
show the
Got it.
trend based on the historical and the current data that we have. And as far as I know, like the forecasting data should be a function of this.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I understand that essentially the bigger value contribution here is the trend line. Like if I'm seeing a number, which is the value of that ticket, essentially I would want to know where is the trend line headed. The absolute
Yeah,
number is not very helpful in making the decision. If
right,
you just
right.
tell me that over past 3 days the price has increased, it is further expected to increase over next 3 days. I think this also is a very valuable data for me to make a decision today where I want to,
Right.
whether I want to book
However,
or not. So that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Apart from that, like on the homepage also we show some data. Like if the so say if you search for Delhi to Goa, then on the homepage you might see a card that will indicate whether the price is up or down. So say you search for Delhi to Goa for 1st November and you opted in for the price alerts. Say you want to see the price alert for this particular search criteria. So the next time you open the app, at that time you are going to see one card under flights you are tracking, and that data, the data in that card is going to have some basic information like, okay, this is the flight that you were tracking, and in that there would be summary information, like there would be a icon, up arrow or down arrow based on what's the live price right now. uh, like basically whether the price is going up or down or it's same as before. And like if you tap on that, then it will redirect you to the search page that will open up the same Delhi to Goa flight for 1st November. So if you want to book, you can do that from there. Like it would be like a summary info that you might be interesting in.
Got it.
So Paras, like answering your question, like what happened after COVID and what were some of the changes a
Yeah.
travel company would. So one of my friend works at Agoda, which is a booking.com company, right? So he
Agoda.
told me Agoda. So he told me like some of the interesting thing that happened is first, so when like second lockdown opened up, so what was happening is like different governments were incentivizing differently to
Correct.
increase the travel to their countries, right? So flights were subsidized, somewhere hotels were subsidized. So suddenly, travel companies started seeing different kind of geographies, it's like source travel to different geography, which was not happening earlier. So suddenly they had to like ramp up their ops to increase their footprint in that country. For example, Agoda started investing in India. Vietnam was suddenly on the map for Indians, and similarly, different geographies. So
Right.
operationally, suddenly there was a very high demand in operations, like increased operations to explore or expand a certain geography. So that is something that happened, which I could see myself as well. But like from Hina, I wanted to know like, so as a user, we don't see a lot of changes on front end, like year on year when it comes to a travel website, right? We go to a website, we enter like to fro destinations and like sources and the date. But there must be a lot of tech changes or innovation that must be happening on the back end, right?
Yeah.
Which improves or like makes our booking experience seamless.
Ye-
Which is there. So like, what are like some of these tech changes or innovation that has happened post pandemic because of all these different kind of experiences people wanted to have?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So during lockdown, like what I noticed is we actually got a very great opportunity to focus on the tech initiatives. We like we were able to got that time to focus on PW migration, and then focus on price tracking and prediction. We were coming up with new ideas on how to engage more users, or increase the bookings from our end. So recently, like we also started. So initially in flights, we were mainly focused on PW, and once the PW migration was done, we focused on price tracking and prediction. Then we also started looking into the native part. Like we wanted to make sure that we have so initially we were not much focused on native side with respect to tech in our team. Like I'm just talking about my team. So gradually we started incorporating price tracking and prediction on iOS and Android. So our teams were having iOS and Android devs, and everyone was very much involved in feature development. Then there was one more initiative that was in that might not appear visibly on front end, but with respect to tech perspective, we moved to smaller modules. So if you see the flight search page or the home page that we have, so on that, not everything is written in the same on one page itself. We moved to smaller modules, and then we migrated it to smaller libraries. uh, you can say smaller libraries that might be easier to understand, like smaller libraries, because of the fact that they can be reused across multiple components as well as pages. So say you can consider a simple component like calendar. So calendar is something that can be reused across multiple pages like search page and then home page, and even with other line of businesses like cars or hotels. So we try to keep the code cleaner, and how much of it can be reusable. So we looked into that. Then we also performed a lot of performance initiatives on PW side. So for example, we figured out how we are going to, optimize the JS bundling and CSS bundling, like the static files that we get. If we can, have some of the JS bundles that are already fetched on the previous page, then how we can leverage that. Like we don't want to, fetch that again. Then Like there were other performance initiatives also. Like we wanted to optimize our search call that we do. So we it's like once we get the search criteria, we call the query on the beforehand to know what's the search going to look like. There are a lot of initiatives around that we did. um, that helps us, like do like we were also I can't share the numbers, but we were able to see a lot of performance improvements once we started focusing on these things. And I must say, like as a individual contributor, it's very important to not just build a feature, but also look into ways on how we are going to improve our code, both in terms of size and performance. So by performance, it can be both server side and client side. So yeah, these were some of the things that we mainly focused on that time.
Got it. Yeah, I could see a lot of things which have like improved for me as a consumer is that the searches are faster. I can see the prices. Then, so I use Make My Trip a lot. So I could have better filters like fastest, cheapest, or best for me. These kind of searches actually improve and makes my decision process faster. So, just going back to your previous experience in Zomato. So, I think when you were in Zomato, the delivery part already started in Zomato, right? Food delivery part.
Yeah,
Did
it
you?
was already there when I
It
joined.
was
Yeah.
already there, right? So, did you get a chance to work on that part of the tech? Because I wanted to understand like how the tech stack looks when it comes to high frequency transaction company versus a low, like per user you have lower frequency transactions
Right.
in a travel company.
So unfortunately, I was not a part of that team. I think that was majorly handled by the native teams there. I was more around, more towards the restaurant, more towards merchant facing teams. Like I was more into like, providing tools that might help merchants
Merchants on the
and the
merchant end.
customers. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's very interesting, yeah. I mean, I hear all the journey, and it's been from where to where. It's like a fascinating dot connecting matrix where when you look back, whatever you've learned from a previous company, of course, you take that to the next, and then you stitch that in into a completely different environment, right? In a completely different product offering with a completely different value, and that is amazing to see. It's always it's more than a evolution of a company. It's also an evolution of a human, right? How they are able to stitch all of that.
Right. And I think it's important, like, if you want to, stay in a company, then it's important, like, how, if you are comfortable with the team or not. So thankfully, like, everyone is very, like, comfy, like, in a manner that they make everything easy to understand. So if you have a meeting and you want to discuss out things, you don't have to hesitate to ask questions, or discuss any open questions, say, hey, this is pending, you can just ask. Thanks to that, like, I would say, like, thanks to my team for that, for making such an environment that everyone is very comfortable.
That is so cool, yeah. And so, Hina, before we go, I would like to ask, and that's all the viewers that we have who are especially women who are also into coding and who are also into development, who are also maybe at a learning stage. How would you like three pieces of golden advice for any young girl child who's starting to code now, has bright dreams in her heart of reaching where you are essentially, and growing beyond. So, what would you say to them in terms of how to get started, what kind of tools to look out for, what kind of skills they must have, and with AI coming in, right? That's completely changing
Yes.
every single industry and sector. How should they be ready in terms of getting hired in the next phase of their lives?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say find a good mentor to get started. Like, have a person, who you look up to, like, who motivates you. For example, for me, like, it was my brother initially. Like, I learned a lot from him, and then I think I just like he helped me grow as a person as well. And then second would be, keep on learning. Learning never stops. We always learn, how, like, whatever our age is. It's not like you become a senior manager or a senior dev, and then you just your learning is stopped. It's not that. Um, and then third would be, it's okay to, relax a bit. I mean, not always things are going to be in your hand. It's okay if things are out of your hand. You have to sometimes let it go also. I think that would be all.
So as a
Very
as a
good.
like a coder, so like where do you see yourself in the future? Like or what do you suggest? Like growing as an individual contributor in the code or the software technology, or like growing in towards the management part of it, or like where do you see that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question actually, because this is one of the conversation that I am also having with my manager. And I must say, like, both are very interesting, and I am passionate about both of these roles. Uh, I think, like, as a manager, you get to manage the team. So even as a manager, you need to have the clarity with respect to tech, and you need to, you are able to know what resides in your code base. If you don't know the code, then you can't be a good manager, because even though managers usually don't code, they need to know what's happening, and they need to, provide optimal solutions to the team, because many times the team can get stuck, or say they are not in a non-blocking manner. And then in that case, it's the manager who brings a solution on the table. So as a manager, also there are pros and cons. As a IC, I think you get to code a lot. Like, the most of the focus is into coding. So I think right now, I would say my focus is mostly on coding. I am able to manage also, but I think right now I'm focusing more on coding, because I like that, and I think for some time I might continue that. Maybe later on, I might look into the managerial roles also. It all keeps on changing.
Got it. So both the roles are like equally important and equally enjoyable. It
Yeah,
depends more
right.
on the individual, like if where do they want to grow.
Right. Like, even with respect to tech role, it's not like the growth is limited. So say you can become a senior developer, then you can become a principal developer. That means that the challenges are going to rise. Then from that, you can become a VP also of a company. So even with respect to the growth, it's not like your growth stops if you are not a manager. And as a manager also, there are a lot of opportunities. Not just to eventually, you are not just managing a team, but you can also manage an entire, so say in our case, you can manage entire flights, and then maybe you can lead multiple line of businesses like cars and flights. So both are very challenging, and it all depends what interests you. It can also happen that right now, one is interested in managing, in being a manager or as a coder, but later on the interest changes.
Got it. Makes sense.
But fantastic, yaar. This has been a beautiful, beautiful conversation, and I think we are all going back, taking a lot of lessons in terms of product structuring or tech, or essentially telling our people on how they can rise up the ranks in this big bad world of travel and food and whatnot, right? Paras, you have anything
No, I'm good.
to
I'm
add?
good. I'm good. Thanks.
Perfect, Hina. Thank you so much, Hina, for this podcast.